Just ahead on CTV News, the County Council discusses how to fill a vacant seat. And 2 council members are making waves towards a greener county. Plus, Team Maryland welcomes its new elected members. Those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, this is CTV News for November 19th. I'm Michaela Newton. Thanks so much for joining us. And topping our news tonight, the County Council did not pass 2 emergency bills related to the county's special elections. Now, Council Bill 92 was an emergency bill dealing with the County Council's special primary and general elections to fill its vacancy on the council. However, the bill failed with 6 members voting for the measure, 2 members abstaining, and council members Calvin Hawkins and Jolene Ivey recusing themselves from the vote. Council Bill 93, which was another emergency legislation related to the special primary and general election of the next county executive, did not pass the council. The vote for this bill was also a 6-0 vote, with, again, Hawkins and Ivey recusing themselves. Now, all emergency bills must have 8 votes to pass. Meanwhile, a bill aimed at ghost guns, technology, and juveniles was passed unanimously by County Council. CB 30 would make it illegal for an adult to give a juvenile access to the technology used to make a ghost gun. Supporters of the bill say ghost guns, which are untraceable, have been getting in the hands of kids.
We have seen a huge uptick of ghost guns in the county. A lot of the law enforcement officers have told us that when they get a gun in the school, a lot of times it's untraceable or a ghost gun. And so we don't know where our young people are getting their hands on these weapons. But what we know is that technology is changing. You can order a 3D printer online on Amazon and get it delivered to your house. And so we have to make sure that our legislation is making it clear that there's information that if you share it, because maybe you're not giving them the weapon, but you're giving them the tools to create that weapon.
Well, Prince George's police are investigating a deadly shooting. Take a look at your screen. This was a scene on Barrington Drive in Upper Marlboro. Police were called to the area around 8:30 this morning following reports of a shooting. Now, investigators say a male was discovered with a gunshot wound and was pronounced dead at the scene, but anyone who may have information is asked to call police. Meanwhile, we have an update in the shooting that took place yesterday on I-95. 46-year-old Kevin Gross has been arrested in connection to the shooting that injured Ronald Victor Garcia around 4 a.m. yesterday. Now, Gross has been charged with first-degree attempted murder, first and second-degree assault, and other related charges. Now, the man is being held at the Howard County Detention Center without bond. And the County Council passes 2 measures that will bring more EV charging stations across Prince George's. The council voted unanimously on CB 105. The measure will require EV charging stations at newly constructed apartments, office, and mixed-use buildings beginning in 2027. The council also passed CB 67, which will mandate that a minimum number of EV parking spaces for new apartments, office, and mixed-use buildings. The bill requires that 10% of that parking spaces must be EV ready and 5% must be EVS installed.
With the passage and enactment of this bill, we will be the leader in the state on this issue. We were quite surprised to find that there were very little requirements in some of the other jurisdictions. And so we know that with us putting this forward, you won't just have to drive down Route 1 to find electric charging stations, but you're going to see them all over Prince George's County. And that is what we want. And we will look for other ways to incentivize and push this.
The goal here is to make sure that no matter where you live in Prince George's County, whether you're living in a single-family home or now multifamily, that you'll have access to electric charging. As these buildings are being built, it's a lot cheaper to install them, so we want to make sure that's a priority from the beginning.
And officials say 50% of the state's registered EV stations are in Montgomery County. Well, with the Biden administration winding down, the president has asked Congress to approve $98 billion in supplemental emergency spending. Now, the money would be earmarked for areas devastated by Hurricanes Helene and Milton, as well as other disasters. Included in the request is $500 million for cleanup efforts following the collapse of the Key Bridge. Congress is expected to begin vetting the spending requests before heading out of town for the Thanksgiving break. And former Governor Martin O'Malley has officially entered the race for Democratic National Committee chair. Speaking to the New York Times, O'Malley called himself a, quote, proven operational leader who can help turn things around. Now, he's the first to announce his candidacy for the position, which will be decided in early 2025 by 440 DNC members. And despite falling short in his Senate bid, former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan is touting his campaign's milestones. In a post-election analysis, Hogan's team highlighted his success in winning split-ticket voters and outperforming other Republican candidates nationwide. Now, his campaign called it the best performance for a Maryland Republican Senate candidate since 1980. They also noted his sustained 61% favorability rating even after heavy attack ads. Now, while acknowledging tough national dynamics and Democratic momentum, Hogan's team pointed to record-breaking voter engagement and a growing donor base as key victories. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Kayla Newton. Still to come, a controversial bill aimed at speeding up data center construction in Prince George's County is facing fierce opposition tonight. Find out why after the break.
Okay, Dad, look at you.
I look nice, don't I?
I see you.
Yeah.
Adding your own flavor to fashion comes with age.
Oh, man, that's the best one yet.
Forgetting how to add doesn't. Finding it difficult to work with numbers may be a sign of Alzheimer's.
Dad, are you okay?
An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one.
All right.
High school.
Yeah. Hey, Dad. Do you want to talk about what happened earlier?
Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's. Some things come with age. Some others don't.
Love is a lesson that doesn't end. It knows no conditions, so you better buckle in. Love keeps you on your toes. It never stops, only grows. Love isn't easy, it's a commitment, especially when they're being their most resistant. Love is finding the right seat so you can take a breath. But remember, love isn't lax, it always double checks. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. Innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Welcome back. Maryland Senators Ben Cardin and Chris Van Hollen, along with Representatives Steny Hoyer, Jamie Raskin, and other members of the delegation, welcomed newly elected House members April McLean Delaney, Sarah Elfreth, and Johnny Olszewski to the Capitol yesterday. Now, Team Maryland say they vow to tackle key issues like health care, infrastructure, and education as a united front.
We are ready to hit the ground running because we have an amazing team. I am prepared to fight for all of the interests of Maryland, and I'm grateful that this team has my back.
All of the things that we will continue to fight for in terms of infrastructure, in terms of different community project funds, but also in terms of uplifting many of the priorities set forth in the President's budget today. I just am humbled and gratified to be a part of this delegation.
The road ahead will not be smooth. We know that. If that's the only thing we know that. But we also know that when we are together as a full delegation, fighting not just for our priorities that you've heard of, but also for the values that Marylanders sent us here to fight for, I am just so relieved to be part of this team, and I'm excited to get started.
And Senator-elect Angela Alsobrooks did not attend the meeting. Well, a teenager is dead after a shooting in Largo over the weekend. 16-year-old Kashawn Hunt from Akakeek was found suffering from gunshot wounds on Saturday night. Now, the shooting happened on Harry S. Truman Drive. Hunt was taken to the hospital where he later died. Now, as of right now, police have identified and spoken to several people involved in the incident, but no charges have been filed against any of them. And a former Montgomery County teacher has pled guilty to third-degree sex offenses. A judge sentenced 32-year-old Melissa Curtis of Upper Marlboro to 30 years in prison, suspending all but 12 months to serve. Curtis was a teacher at a public middle school at the time of the offenses back in 2015. The 14-year-old victim had volunteered for an after-school program that Curtis was running, and they were often alone together. The victim disclosed the abuse in 2023, and Curtis was charged following an investigation. Now, police believe there may be more victims, but anyone with additional information is asked to call detectives at 240-773-5400. And a coalition of advocacy groups has come out against a bill they say would fast-track the building of data centers in Prince George's County. Members of the South County Environmental Justice Coalition and other groups gathered outside the Wayne K. Curry Administration building to protest the measure. CB 52 would exempt data centers from some of the preliminary review process. Now, opponents say that it puts the county's needs to generate tax revenue against public input.
All citizens who are looking at CB 52, it's an issue. That's happening because we're trying to fast track, as Herb said, we're trying to fast track things for tax revenue. We understand tax revenue. Everybody understands tax revenue. Everybody needs tax revenue. Prince George's County is not unique in that. We should not be reducing steps in the analysis process of these major projects.
Now, lawmakers voted late this afternoon to table the measure. Meanwhile, with the state of Maryland facing a nearly $3 billion budget deficit, Senate President Bill Ferguson says important decisions ahead to protect the state against what he called severe uncertainty at the federal level. Now, analysts say that the projected deficit for 2026 will grow to almost $6 billion over a 5-year period. And any changes could include a tax increase, Ferguson says he will closely work with lawmakers in the House and the governor to navigate the budget season. And Governor Wes Moore's administration has hired consulting giant Accenture for a $190,000 contract to assess the potential impact of Donald Trump's incoming presidency on Maryland. The short-term deal, which bypassed the usual state procurement process, will focus on how Trump's policies might affect state programs, fundings, and major projects. Accenture will also provide risk assessments and recommendations on how Maryland could respond to changes under the new administration. And still to come on CTV News, we're looking for ways to save before the holidays. Well, we have that story just for you.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's World Toilet Day. I'm Bryce Parker. We'll have more on how to save money on your water bill coming up on CTV News.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kitchen now.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
You quit smoking and thought, that's that. But here's the thing about lung cancer. By the time you see the symptoms, it could be too late. But now, there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early when it's more curable. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Metro riders could be seeing some changes to silver and yellow lines following documents released yesterday uncovering that Metro is considering splitting the silver line to accompany orange line trains headed to New Carrollton. Now, the proposed split would occur after the Stadium Armory station heading towards downtown Largo. Metro says that the change would cut down the wait times in half on orange line trains east of Stadium Armory and also allow for riders to travel to Dulles Airport and Tice's Corner without transferring trains. The documents also reveal that yellow line trains could once again begin extending services to Greenbelt. And today we celebrate an underrated, underappreciated household item we come in contact with every day. It's called World Toilet Day, and CTV's Bryce Parker is at WSSC Water sharing how toilet users can prevent thousands of money spent on their water bill.
So today is World Toilet Day, and we're here at WSSC Water. I'm here with James, and he's going to explain to us a common toilet leak that you might not be aware of that could happen at any toilet in your home.
So what we did is we developed a clear toilet that would allow us to explain some of the components in the toilet that are maintenance items. The toilet right now is actually creating a very small leak, and it's coming from a flapper. When you flush the toilet, the flapper opens. But when it closes, it's supposed to be sealed. You're not supposed to have any water moving through it. It's simulating if you have a crack in your flapper, if you have that small leak. And your meter is running, you're paying for that water. So you can see here, in one day, that's 164 gallons. On top of your normal water bill, in a quarter, it's gonna add $257. This is the fill valve. This is what allows the water to come into your tank. It's supposed to shut off if there's an issue with it. What happens is the water fills and it goes into what's called an overflow. The overflow is intended to prevent the toilet from spilling out on your floor and flooding your house, but it's running the water through the toilet and down the drain. So you can actually see the flow has picked up. On a quarterly basis, the amount of money that's going to add to your bill on top of your normal water usage, your normal water bill, $8,000. One of the things that you can do to test this very easily is you take one of these. This is a little dye tablet. What you do is you stick it right here in the tank. Wait 15 minutes. This should turn a dyed color, right? If everything is working correctly in your toilet, this will not be a color. This will still be clear. If the water is leaking through the toilet as it shouldn't be, this will then become a color.
And you can use one of these dye tablets in your toilet once every 6 months for preventative maintenance. And just because there's not water splashing all over your bathroom floor does not mean that you're wasting water or wasting money. Reporting from Laurel, I'm Bryce Parker. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Bryce, thanks so much. Well, WSSC customers can receive free testing tablets when they email their address to communications@wsscwater.com. And a new report shows that Maryland needs to do better when it comes to getting residents screened and that are at high risk for developing lung cancer. Now, this message comes from the New State of Lung Cancer report by the American Lung Association. Now, data shows that here in Maryland, only 16.8% of people who are considered high risk of getting lung cancer are screened. However, the national average in screening high-risk residents is 16%. And Maryland is seeing a rise in cannabis-related emergency room visits, according to the state's health department. So far this year, there's been an average of 817 visits per month, up slightly from last year's 780. Now, the jump follows the legalization of adult recreational marijuana in July of 2023, and the health department has launched a new dashboard to track cannabis-related public health trends, including ER visits, youth and adult use, and calls to poison centers. Well, the beat of D.C. has a new home. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser joined community leaders on Monday to cut the ribbon on the highly anticipated Go-Go Museum and Cafe. Founder Ron Motton, alongside legendary acts like the Junkyard and Backyard Bands, were also on hand to celebrate the milestone. Now, the 8,000 square foot museum pays tribute to the genre that Chuck Brown popularized in the 70s and features rare artifacts, interactive holograms, and a recording studio.
This is one of those things, man, that we got to preserve. It's the history. And the history of go-go, EU, Trouble Funk, we all come from Southeast. We are the forefathers of the go-go.
To know go-go is to know DC. To love go-go is to love DC. And to respect the rich history of go-go is to honor the rich history of DC.
We have over 80 museums in Washington, D.C., but until today, we had one missing.
Wouldn't be here without everybody that cares about the music. It's all about love. I know my father would be proud of everybody that's sitting here and that's a part of this culture, a part of DC, a part of the music. It means so much to me and my family.
And here's a fun fact. Go-Go was named the district's official music back in 2020, and the ribbon cutting was a part of Go-Go Preservation Week. The Go-Go Museum and Cafe will be open to the public in February of 2025. But for more information, visit gogomuseumcafe.com. And Simon Buzz is here with our Tuesday Sports page. Simon, what's in the playbook today?
Well, Michaela, we have NFL news, you have college football news, and some women's soccer league news. Stay right there, sports fans. We'll be right back. You're going to want to see this.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes, yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Jason, let's go see your room.
That's not right. How is it? Is it good?
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right, sports fans, the wait is finally over. We begin your Tuesday sports page with some NFL news, as my Washington Commanders have had a better season than even I thought they'd have. The team is currently 7-4 in second place in the NFC East, and it's looking like they can make the postseason for the first time since 2020. And one player that can help Washington make a postseason push is cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. The Commanders acquired the four-time Pro Bowler from the New Orleans Saints a couple weeks back, but he hasn't played for the Burgundy and the Gold yet due to a hamstring injury. Head coach Dan Quinn spoke yesterday and touched on whether or not he's surprised that Lattimore is taking as long as he has to suit up for the team.
Not surprised, no, not surprised on that, JP. We knew
there was going to be some time where it wasn't, plug and play, after the trade. And so what I look for from the player to see is he working as hard as he can to do that and learning as quick as he can. And good news for us is that Marshawn's absolutely savage worker, wants to go, be as ready as you can and digging in. But we're just not going to take the chance if it's not all the way ready. And good news, we're trending in a really strong way, and we'll see what the week looks like. But we're moving in the right way, that's for sure.
Hopefully Lattimore plays for the team soon. Moving on to the world of college football, the Terps haven't had the season they envisioned, as the team is currently 4-6 and have lost 3 straight games. But one of the bright spots for the team is wide receiver Ty Felton, as he has been on a mission this year. And the Virginia native was recently named a semifinalist for the Biletnikoff Award. This award is given out annually to the best college receiver in the nation. And with the season Felton is having, that's definitely no surprise. Felton currently ranks first in receptions with 86, which is the most for a Maryland player in a single season, and second in receiving yards with 1,040 among all Power Conference players. The 6'2", 186-pounder also just one of 5 players this season with 500-plus yard receiving games. The winner of the award will be announced on December 12th. Meantime, shout out to Washington Spirit midfielder Coy Bethune for being named the National Women's Soccer League's Rookie of the Year. The former 3rd overall pick showed immediately why she was one of the best players in the draft, as she scored 3 goals in her first 5 games. She also tied the NWSL single season assist record with 10, and likely would have broken the record had a knee injury not cut her season short. Bethune was also named the NWSL's Rookie of the Month in each of the first 3 months of the season. The Georgia native is the second player in Spirit history to win the Rookie of the Year award, behind forward Trinity Rodman, the daughter of NBA Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman, back in 2021. Congratulations, Coy. It was definitely well-deserved. In NBA news, the Washington Wizards continue to struggle as they had a beating put down on them in the Big Apple last night. Washington fell to the New York Knicks 134-106. The Wizards are now 2-11 on the season and will take the court next against Jason Tatum and the overpowering Boston Celtics in the in-season tournament on Friday. Meanwhile, the Washington Capitals came away with a win against the Utah Hockey Club last night, 6-2. Their next opponent will be the Colorado Avalanche on Thursday. And that wraps up your Tuesday Sports Page.
All right, Simon, so do you like the Commanders trading for Lattimore despite his injury?
Yes and no, Michaela. I'll start with the reasons why I do like it, because it's good to have a nice established cornerback on this team. This team didn't have that before Lattimore was traded. And when he's at his best, he's definitely one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He's a guy that we can stick on or put on the elite receivers in our division, like a CeeDee Lamb, a A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith, and Malik Neighbors. But also, he's also a good veteran presence as well. But the con to it, he has been banged up the last couple of seasons. Like I said, he is currently banged up right now with that hamstring injury. So hopefully he can get back healthy soon. But there's no doubt that when he's at his best, he's one of the best corners in the league. So hopefully he can get healthy soon and suit up for the team, because we definitely could use him going forward.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
No problem.
All right, so let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, showers are expected until 3 a.m., so be safe on the roads. Make sure you have that umbrella handy. Tomorrow is going to be 65 degrees, and we have a 90% chance of rain. Thursday, we'll still have some light rain. We'll have a high of 50 and a low of 35. Friday will be mostly cloudy with a high of 49. And before we go, our community calendar. In honor of Native American and Indigenous Peoples Heritage Month, this Wednesday, the Bladensburg Library is hosting Coffee and a Classic. Come watch the 1998 film, Smoke Signals, which was selected in 2018 by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Film Registry for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. This film is recognized as being the first written, directed, and co-produced by Native Americans. The screening takes place tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m., but for more information, make sure you contact that number right there on your screen, 240-455-5451. And that's all the time we have for CTV News tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.